Good morning, everybody. Welcome to welcome to Veterans Honest Hour. Just real quickly, because I want to make sure we capture everything in this hour. A little bit about me. I just retired 8 months ago. I was at home one day after 22 years in the service. I was at home one day and I was thinking like, what can I do more? Because there's a lot of resources, a lot of opportunities out there we just don't know about. And I hate somebody saying like, hey, I wish I'd have known about this. And I'm a firm believer like, hey, everybody should be a millionaire right now, right? Especially if you've been in the military, you did 10, 15, 20 years, only because what? All the things that came out from technology to Bitcoin, all the things, it's just like you just didn't know about it. You had no idea this was going on. You had no idea about stocks. Nobody told you anything. So I was like, how do I change that? So that's why I created this. So it's gonna be a great moment. We have three great panelists. Like you're gonna hear their story, take something in. If there's a question that you have that's burning on the inside, figuring out, like, hey, if you're in that sunken place, you're in that place of like trying to figure things out. After we go through the questions, if you got a moment, just ask the question. I don't want nobody to leave here to feel like, hey, they didn't answer my question, or I really want to talk about something. Let's address it. Because I know for myself, there's life and death in this moment right now, right? If somebody coming here right now trying to figure out I just want to give up. Tomorrow's not promised, right? So I want you to get something from this, but I want your questions to get answered as well, right? So I'll kick it to Johnson. He can introduce himself and then we get rolling.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you for that, Dominic. Thank you guys for joining us this Saturday morning. Super excited for the conversation. So do a quick brief introduction. 25-year Navy vet, transitioned out of Navy a little over a year ago. Now I get the privilege of being the coordinator for the Hampton Roads Veterans Employment Center on the south side here in Hampton Roads. Also a career readiness instructor for 4 Block. And then I get the privilege of co-hosting this show with Dominic. So that's a little bit about me. I want give a few seconds for our panel. Let's hear Ernest. Let you introduce yourself first.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining in. My name is Ernest Quintana. I've been called Ernesto since birth. It's a Mexican-American thing. I did 8 years in the military, entrepreneurship, and looking forward to this podcast to share my journey looking for employment. Currently, I'm the Director of Veteran Services at Eggleston here in the Hampton Roads area. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. Jasmine?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jasmine Then. I am a military spouse. I've been a military spouse for over 9 years now. I currently hold a master's degree in HR, several certifications, including the PMP, the SHRM, the SPHR, and I was unemployed for over 13 months. Currently, I am a recruiter at USAA, and I've been working with them for over a month and a half. So excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. Todd?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Great to be here with you guys. Name is Todd Dubose. I am a Marine Corps veteran, and I've worked in program/project management for over 20 years. I've worked with some of the top intelligence agencies. Worked with the Board of Veteran Appeals. I've also worked with the Veterans Benefits Administration. So I've got some really good experience with some key government as well as intelligence agencies that will hopefully will be helpful as we, have this discussion today. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for donating your Saturday morning to join us. So for the guys in the room, or guys and gals, this will be recorded, so it'll get put on the YouTube channel, the Veteran Honest Hour YouTube channel after the fact. If you guys have questions while we're going through this, by all means, feel free to raise your hand or drop your question in the chat. And then once we get a little bit of a break, we'll go through and answer them. But to keep honest with time and to keep the party going, we're going to jump right into it. And so all three of you were in the transition and had to deal with the job search strategy. So we're going to jump right into it. And I'll start with Jasmine. Jasmine, if you could describe your job search in one word, what would that word be and why?
Transformative. It kind of changed everything of what I thought a job search journey would be. And I've learned so much and I've built so much in these 13 months with just networking and learning and gaining these certifications. So transformative would sum it up for me.
Love it. What about you, Todd?
I'd have to say in one word, it was monumental. The crazy thing happened. Was at the working at the White House, and my time wound down due to the contract option year not being exercised in September of 2025. And during that time, the worst time ever, I had to have a reinvestigation, which was tough because employers were actually ready to hire me. Leidos was ready to bring me on even before my final roll off date. But when you're having a reinvestigation done, another agency can't pick up your clearance because it's being reinvestigated. So you're kind of in limbo. Now, if you're still working with the same employer, it's no big deal. But if you're trying to transfer your clearance to another agency to work, you can't do it while you're being reinvestigated. So from September all the way to April of this year, the reinvestigation took place and it was adjudicated in April. But during that time, I was unemployed. So it was definitely challenging. And as I just mentioned, it was monumental because I thought, maybe 3, 4 months. But once I started talking to key individuals that worked in the security office dealing with clearances, and I became educated on how you kind of get put into suspended animation, if you will, then I realized that this was going to be a long journey. But it was long, but it was good. At the end, it turned out very well.
Thank you for that transformative, monumental. What about you, Ernest?
I'm just gonna have to say a roller coaster.
Mm.
Okay, and why I say that is because if you ever been on a roller coaster at Busch Gardens or Kings Dominion, you know that anticipation when the roller coaster is climbing up, and then when you get to the top and then you drop. Well, it's kind of like an emotional high of promising initial interviews were, ghosted, the anxiety of waiting for callbacks. Yeah, mine is a roller coaster to keep it real.
Okay.
Oh, let's keep it right there, Ernest. So the roller coaster, that ride, that incline, right? So when you started this search, what was your expectation in determining like how long did you honestly think it would take before you actually landed that next opportunity? How long did this roller coaster ride last?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, I have to say I was pretty vague and pretty prideful because I had just completed a stream of degrees, associates, bachelors, masters. Got my CFM, certified financial manager. I was anticipating 1 to 2 months, but it's like I hit a huge brick wall. Um, and even my military experience, I thought maybe that would streamline my process. Nope. So it's a lot different out here, and that's why I'm so glad that the job I have, veteran director of veteran services, because soldiers, military, you guys coming out, you better be ready because all that you have done in the military, that's great. Those are great accolades, not downing it. But the civilian world, it's a little different. So, for me, my personal experience, that's what I went through. It just, I was actually expecting 1 to 2 months to get on board. I got my clearance and this and that. I got my education, no biggie, but nope. It's extremely competitive out there, no matter what your degree level is or your educational sector. It's very, very challenging out there.
What do you have
What
your
about for you?
master's in?
Go ahead, Dominic. Sorry.
What do you have your master's in, Ernest?
My master's is in business administration with a strong concentration of finance and accounting.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anticipated 1 to 2 months, took a little longer. And what about you, Jasmine? When you dove into this realm of trying to find employment, what did you expect to happen, and how did it work out?
Yeah, same. Came in with the same mindset as Ernest. Like with 1 to 2 months, I'll have offers lined up, constantly interviewing. And what I was met was the complete opposite. Just after application and after application, no calls, no emails, no invitation to schedule an interview. And I thought, what's going on? I only had my master's degree at the time, and I thought that was enough. It wasn't. So then got laid off in June and August, then obtained my SPHR. I thought, okay, now I have my SPHR, my senior professional in human resources. Now, now I'm more competitive. That didn't happen. So I was like, okay, what do I do next? My PMP, got my PMP on Halloween in October. Thought, all right, something indistinguishable, HR, PMP, I'm different, right? You're gonna reach out, you're gonna want to talk. Nothing happened. Got my SHRM in February. And then I'm like, okay, this is it, trifecta. I'm like, golden candidate. Anybody would be lucky to have me. That still really didn't move the needle as much. So I would say, yeah, it took a lot longer, but during that time period, I gained so much more, and reaching out to other resources and networking definitely got to where I am today. So I would say like lean in on that, on building that network and those people around you and join those groups, because that's really what's going to take you there from zero to finally signing that offer. But overall, it took 13 months, 13 months of just every day, just going in and learning and speaking and just applying myself.
What about you, Todd?
Well, the 9 month journey I was on, again, like others are mentioning, you think maybe 2 or 3 months, but again, once I realized that my top secret clearance was being reinvestigated, I really couldn't do anything. So yeah, having the clearance is great, but if you can't use it, there lies the challenge. So as I shared with some of you guys before we began, a special project was laid on my heart, which I've been working on. And from what I found out, and I know we're not having church here, but I'm just one of those brothers. When I reached the 90% mark of working on this project, I got a job. So I think that I was supposed to actually go through this season, and everything happened the way that it happened. But I'll say this much, and again, I'm not trying to beat anybody across the head with a Bible. But for those of you that know the Lord, He keeps His promises. I will say that. Back to you, sir.
I get it. I get it. I feel that like, hey, he gonna show up not on your time, but on his time.
That's
Absolutely.
right. Yep.
So I will say, for Ernest, what was the lowest moment during your unemployment that nobody really saw or knew about?
Yeah, that would be, I guess, sitting and staring into blank space, realizing that this is this sucks. And I don't mean to use that term, but this sucks. Like I was really expecting all my resources, all my connections um, to come through, and it was very ironic how every connection and resource I had directed me to every connection and resource. It was like a loop. Like, wait a minute, this person has a job and this other person has a job. It's all the same thing. It's a loop. And it really wasn't making sense to me. And I didn't struggle with no type of emotional breakdown or went to drinking or drugs, none of that. It's just, I had what's called a self-reflect moment. Like, okay, I'm a spiritual man myself. Okay, I need to get out of this rut. I really need to get out of this rut. Everything that I thought was going to get me a job, I need to put that aside and just really focus on me. Ernest, like, do I have to make a pivot? Do I have to go back to school? Do I have to go into IT field? Because that was, God, from years ago. I was an MCSE back in the 90s, if y'all know what that is, MCSE.
Yep.
You know, just a lot going on. And I'm just like, in my room over the garage, the frog, just staring into space like, what the fudge? Like what's going on here? Um, but yeah, that was my lowest moment when I started having those thoughts.
I definitely get that. So, like you said something that really stuck out. Like a lot of times people, you reach out to them for, maybe a connection or maybe possibly a job, and they send you to another resource or to somebody else, and then they send you to somebody else. Like that is I see it all the time. Like sometimes we think people have certain resources, we reach out to them and they go, "Hey, I'm gonna push you to another direction. I'm gonna go, hey, go reach over there, go reach out to them." Then you reach out to that person, they push you somewhere else, and it's like the circle, but it doesn't lead to anything. It's just a circle. You just run the circle. So yeah, I definitely understand, and I see that a lot. That happens a lot.
Yeah,
What
and that
about you,
friend,
Jasmine?
right? Real quick, that friend, everyone, and I'm sure you see it a lot, Dominique too. We see it in office all the time. I'm good. I got a friend that's gonna take care of me, and then I got a friend. My friend's got me. I'm good. I got a friend. And then 3 months later, they're right back in the office because not only did their friend tell them that, but their friend's coworker told their friends, and their friend's coworker told their friends, and then all of a sudden, everybody's got a friend at this one location, and they're thinking that that they can just pick up that phone and be like, "Oh, my friend's got me." But then the harsh reality hits, right?
Right.
And that's sometimes we think you can't depend on, I don't want to say depend on anybody, but you gotta trust but verify. But until you have that offer in your hand, you gotta keep shopping around, you gotta keep moving around, right? I can't
Right.
depend on just one source, one anything. Like sometimes this friend or this coworker or this person that you know that's been talking to you for 6 months to a year, has the title, has everything, they've been promising you all these things, and then guess what? It's your time to transition, it's your time to pivot. If you didn't gave your 2 week notice, and all of a sudden that friend or that associate loses that position, or that position closed, or that title they had shifted, so they're not over top of that department no more. So that kind of puts you out of line with the job. So it's like, even though we have friends, even though we have connections, Ernest just said I have all the friends, all the connections, but none of them led to anything.
Right.
So with that being said, just hold on to that and think about that, right? Sometimes, a lot of times people sell you dreams and promises, and like, and you, if you buy into it and it don't work out, then you find yourself in a real sunken place. But if you go into it saying, okay, I have this friend, I have this network, I have these things, that's great, and I appreciate it. My network is my net worth, and I'm gonna use my network. I'm gonna use these connections, but at the same time, I still gotta do work. I still gotta get out here, hit the ground. I still gotta put the applications in. I still gotta do other interviews just in case this don't work. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. But what about you, Jasmine?
I would say like I guess breaking point was probably last summer when like my husband was deployed. He was in Fort Irwin for like over 2 months. My parents were out of the country. I just moved I live in a very rural area, so I had no family around me, and I hit a pothole. And every single light on my car turned on. And I took it to the shop and they wanted over $1,000. And I paid that, but the lights still kept coming back on. And, I'm not a mechanic. My husband usually works on the cars. I'm unemployed. I was like, I don't have the luxury to spend this on fixing this. But like, what else am I gonna do? Because I need to attend those career fairs that are an hour away. I need to keep going into town. I need to still, utilize what's around me. I remember I sat on the kitchen floor and I was crying. I was like, how am I gonna get through this? I felt so like defeated. And then thankfully I did have like a friend that came over and that helped me, but kind of just showed me like I was on prior to being unemployed, I was on cloud nine, right? Just purchased a new home. I was checking off all the boxes, and that quickly was taken away. So it just showed me like how fast things change in life, but that's just the season, like what Todd was saying. Like this all needed to happen to kind of build who I am today. So that wasn't the end, right? There's so much more. There's so much more we could do. So that definitely taught me a lot about we're not as strong as we think we are, and we need others. And you can't do everything by yourself. You need a support system.
Yep.
Most definitely. What about you, Todd?
Well, I'll say this. I'm not Superman or anything like that, but I'm going to throw something else in that I didn't mention. I lost my mother this past April. So, not working, then losing your best friend, your bestie, it was tough. But what I had to do is I had to continue to reflect and I had to remember I've been married now for 35 years this past July. I had to remember that I made a promise to my wife at the altar that I would take care of her. And I didn't want to break that promise. I've never broken that promise. And also, I had to rely on my faith. But when those are dark times, would arose from time to time, my wife, she was there. She would help pick me up. She would help remind me of God's promises and different seasons we had gone through in the past. And when you reflect on those past seasons and remember that you've been brought through all those past seasons, it helps you to realize, okay, this is another season I need to go through. And more importantly, going through this season of unemployment and losing my mom, it was very important that I passed the test. Because remember, it's also a test. And, I know I passed that test, but, you still have to be strong. You have to make sure that you're doing everything you possibly can. And when my clearance did get adjudicated, and I'm not knocking anyone in any profession, but when it comes to keeping my promise, I applied to be a cleared custodian, cleared, and got turned down. So a lot of the rejections I started to get being cleared and, looking at areas that I normally wouldn't look in, got rejected because I was overqualified. But I still didn't. I still didn't give up. Marines don't give up. We stay the course and we make sure that we get it done. So luckily, my wife and I have been responsible savers, and a combination of having saved money and unemployment, even after that ran out, that helped. So I'm not going to sit on this call and have this really clean and polished response. It was tough. I'm gonna tell you, it was tough. But at the same time, for those of you that have a relationship with God, don't stop going to church. Don't stop praying. Don't stop studying your Bible. And make sure that that network of friends you have are the ones that really care about you and, have your best interests at heart. And don't shut yourself out from your friends. Don't shut yourself out. Still have coffee with them. Still get together with them. Still invite them over because you still want to maintain that to help you maintain good mental health. That's what I have to say at this point.
You said a lot right there, and I try to keep myself from not like dropping real tears and getting emotional because I lost my mother when I was on the boat, and it hurts. Like I gotta keep it together because it's recorded, so I can't really like I miss her every day, all the things, you know what I'm saying? So going
Hey,
through
no
that
worries,
season,
man. It's okay, bro. It's all
nah,
right.
nah,
You're
nah, nah,
human.
nah,
You're
nah.
human, bro.
It sucks. It sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
So like I definitely understand that tying into the faith, double down on your faith. On top of that, double down on the lessons she taught you, double down on the conversations y'all had, and just keep you living for her, you living for the family, you living to keep pressing on. So I definitely feel that with all the energy and all the things, right? Because that's really trialing. And I lost my mother when I was in the ocean. I couldn't even come home, all the things. So, but yeah, um, I just want to double down on it. Like I'll go back to this, like Ernest, like we kind of talked about that moment when you feel like, at the lowest, but like what like really touched your heart or touched your mind to keep you moving forward during that whole time? Like what was that? Like no matter what, I had to keep going. Like what was that for you?
Well, to get very transparent, I didn't have the ideal exit from the military. I went through a very challenging divorce, which affected my top secret clearance. I had to change jobs from a radioman to a master at arms. And then I had a general under honorable conditions discharge when I couldn't re-enlist. And when I didn't go to a TAP class, I didn't go to a transitioning program. They just escorted me to the front of the base at NOB, and they said, "Good luck." From that point on is where I learned what it was like in my current job, what it feels like. I lost my apartment. had my car repoed. I was homeless for about 18 months in the city of Norfolk and Portsmouth. I come from a very poor family in Texas, so nobody could help me. I didn't know anybody in Norfolk. It was like living in the desert. So, I stayed at the Union Missions. Ironically, I actually go there now for outreach. Um, that period, that dark moment in my life, I used a car that I wasn't supposed to use. I got convicted of an unauthorized use of a vehicle, which is a felony, class 6. And that stigma stuck with me all my life. And I'm going to say that dark hole that I went through, those 18 months, is what motivated me to keep going because I know what it's like to lose everything, to be homeless, no food, no job, picking up cigarette butts on the street in Norfolk. And ironically, now I help people who are like that as part of my job, Director of Veteran Services. So that's what kept me going, Dominique. And I'm just being very open and transparent, because I want people to see that what they see in me is an example of how when you just put your pride and ego aside and actually say, I need help, and I did, 18 months after I got out, and I went to the Hampton VA hospital, which I didn't even know existed. So that's what keeps me going, is the resources that are out there to help people who have lost everything. They're there. You just got to just man up and get on board.
Right. I'm a firm believer in don't suffer in silence. There's so many resources, so many opportunities, so many organizations that want to help veterans get off their feet, from your organization to 1,000 others. But a lot of times veterans don't know about them, not aware of them, because sometimes these organizations feel like we want to find a veteran, but where are they? Like, where are the veterans at? We're the ones that really need the help at. Where are they at? And then there's also the veteran side of it saying like, hey, I need this help. I need support. Where are these companies at? So it's like bridging that gap. Like you one of those ones that's going to the homeless shelters, going to where the people are because you've been there before. And that's not like, a lot of people don't do that. Like, everybody can just sit on the computer in their house or their offices and talk about where they need to find the people at. Like, your organization is going out. Hey, I'm meeting you in the homeless shelter. I'm meeting you exactly where you are, and that's what kind of needs to happen most times. But again, like I try to tell anybody, especially on this call, do not suffer in silence. If you just reach out to somebody via LinkedIn, via something, it's an organization out there that all these organizations from DAV, VFW, even if they don't have the resource for you, they can help you connect to somebody else that has a resource to help pay that electric bill, that water bill. The state do these things. So again, we don't want to suffer in silence. What about you, Todd?
Yeah, you know what? I'll say this. When you're out here looking for a job now, you just can't you can't look for job openings and hit the easy button on Indeed or hit the easy button in LinkedIn. You really have to tailor each job. Use AI. You're not using AI to cheat. Use AI so that you can customize your resume to each job opening, and then just ask AI to make it sound human, so that it doesn't sound like AI actually wrote it. Customization really is the key. And they say cover letters are dead. Cover letters aren't dead. Have AI write that cover letter too. So you dump that job description, your resume, and have AI say, hey, make me a cover letter applicable to this particular job. And even though I didn't get a lot of those jobs, I still got a lot of interviews during that time, and that also helped me to continue to press forward. And that was a constant reminder, of that rainbow. After it rains, when you see that rainbow, that goes back to God's promise. So even though it still took a while to get positions, I went second, third round, still didn't get the position. But what I held on to was, okay, I didn't get the position, but I got the interview. So that means those customized resumes I was writing, customized cover letters I was writing, and also networking, talking with family and friends, including individuals at your church. All of that was paying off. Now, the ghost part, we all scratch our head on getting ghosted, but that's what kept me going. But I'll just say this: customize customize, customize. Nothing wrong with hitting the easy button on LinkedIn and Indeed, but you got to customize. You have to customize. That's what I'd say.
What about you, Jasmine? Yeah, no, but like that customization is very, very important. And you have to like that targeted resume. A lot of people don't know it's not such thing as a blanket resume for every job announcement. You're never gonna get nowhere if you have a. I use my master resume and I just put it to every job announcement because it's keywords. Unfortunately, you have to get through the ATS. If those keywords are not in that when you put that resume in, it'll never get seen by a real human. So you got to customize, do your targeted resumes, and just you have to pivot, right? A lot of times, especially the more gray you get in your beard, the more gray you get in your edges. A lot of times we get stubborn and set in our ways, but you don't want to pivot. You don't want to embrace it. You want to fight against the AI. You want to fight against ATS. That's just the way the world is going. So you have to pivot. You have to evolve with the times. Just like at some point, I don't want to drive no car. I'm a horse and buggy. Where's the horse and besides the Amish? Who's driving? Who has a horse and buggy outside? Because we evolved with it, right? Now we're evolving with electric cars, all the things. At some point, if 40 years from now, it won't be gas cars, everything be electric. We'll have flying cars. So it's like it's evolved. Like sometimes we don't necessarily see it today, but times are evolving, things are evolving. So we have to evolve with the times. What about you, Jazz? What kept you? What moved the needle for you? What kept you moving forward?
Yeah, I would definitely say like my husband. As soon as I was let go, I actually have a recording of me when my HR director called me and let me go because I knew something was off. Maybe one day I'll release that because but as soon as that happened and I went outside my office, let him know, he's like, "Okay." Then he just went and I had my own setup for work and then he just switched it over to my personal and he was like, well, this is gonna be like the new routine now. Now it's kind of just finding another job, getting another certification, like just learning more. So he switched my mindset from like complete fear, like sadness, stress, distraught to like, okay, this is just a change. This is just something new. This is just like a part of life. So he changed my mindset within like instantaneously. So I definitely attribute a lot of all of my success like to his support throughout this whole journey. That and coupled with the fact that we closed on a house on Valentine's Day 2025, June 10th got laid off. So now we're stuck with this mortgage and it's like, okay, we have to go after. We have to go after and get it. I can't just sit here and cry about it. So that fueled me. It fueled us to want to do more because there was no choice, right? Out of necessity.
Right.
It's either you do this or you either become homeless or have to move back in with your parents. So it was just all or nothing. And it's still that mindset. It's all or nothing. So we have to keep going. This is now I am currently employed at USA and giving it my all, but continuing forward. So never stopping.
No, I definitely feel like so. It sounded like he kind of stoic, right? He gave that, hey, it's raining. All right, here's an umbrella. It's not gonna stop the rain, but guess what? At some point, the sun's gonna come out again. It's gonna be a better day. It's gonna be a new day. We just gotta get through the rain. I'm gonna give you the umbrella. I'm still working. I'm still going out here doing that thing, and I know that you're gonna keep working. But just hold this umbrella while I go through the rain and figure it out. And then when the suns come back out, then this today's trials and tribulations is tomorrow's testimonies. And thank God, it's a journey, right? So that's ultimately what it sounded like that kind of happened. Like, and I'm happy you had that sounding board and that secure, like he was secure enough and that your marriage was strong enough to say, okay, it is what it is. We're gonna adapt and overcome. It's not the end of anything. Like we're gonna adapt and overcome, we're gonna get through this. And it's only a matter of time before we get through this. So
Yeah, he always says it could always be worse. And I'm
it
like,
always
okay,
could be
you're
worse.
right.
My Lord, hey, where he at? Where he at right now? It always could be worse. That's one of my things, right? I'm a firm believer in listen. I throw my problems in the pile. You throw your problems in the pile. I probably take my problems back. You probably take your problems back, right? It always could be worse. And like I know that's like like some people would say that's a soft sense of reality or some type of positivity you give yourself. I get it, but at the same time, like why would I still be negative? Like, what is sitting being negative? Like, I'm a firm believer in if you sit around with a bunch of like victims and negativity, you're gonna stay in negativity with a bunch of victims. At some point, you got to be around some survivors, some people that got over the hump, right? If they always say you around 4 millionaires, you about to be the fifth millionaire. If you're around four people that say the job market sucks, life sucks, oh my gosh, I hate it here, you about to be the fifth person to say the same thing. Life sucks, I hate it here, they're not hiring, all the things. But at some point, you got to pivot to the other side of it and say, you know what? It rains on everybody. Today's not a good day, but don't mean tomorrow won't be a good day. It don't mean next week won't be a good day. It don't mean next year won't be a good day. I just got to go through all the trials and tribulations of today to get to the other side so I can get to tomorrow and it be a testimony. So I'm man, hey, where he at? Like I love that type of energy because it always could be worse for sure. I know I'm let John ask the next question.
Yeah, and man, your guys' transparency is so it's refreshing, it's appreciative, you know, and that network and that support. I think it just as people, when we're going through trials and tribulations, we always get into that, you know, why is this happening to me type thing. Not realizing, because we see, everyone sees the glory, right? It's that picture of that iceberg, the glacier. All you see is the tip with the success, but everything that's beneath that water, people don't see because they just see that you landed, and then they forget that there was a mountain that had to be climbed. There were potholes that you had to trip over and whatnot. And so I really appreciate you guys highlighting that. And you know, when you're in the transition piece, no one wants to give their opinion about how great things are going to be than an active duty service member who hasn't transitioned, right? They all got the great advice about how great it's going to be when you transition out. So I'll come to you, Ernest. What's the one thing or the advice that you were given looking back after that whole process that you're like, boy, was that wrong? That was not good advice.
Um, that's actually a very good question. Throughout my journey, you're right, people give you all kinds of advices based on how they see you and their visionary platform. But if you have never been in somebody's shoes, then it's very challenging to give that person advice. I think the advice that was given to me that was like, uh, no, that's not going to work, was hiring somebody to do your resume, and having to pay them when veteran services, it's free, or having someone, I'm not sure what they're called, but people who you hire to help you look for a job, kind of like a scout.
Headhunters.
There you go, headhunters. Honestly, I went that route, paid $3,500 for a headhunter to look for me a role, even after I told him my whole entire story. To this very day, August 8th, 2026, ghost, ghost. And I still see this person on LinkedIn still soliciting people. I did file, a complaint about that, but you know, advice is something that you really need to challenge the source. Definitely request examples or success stories. But my advice came from a gentleman that when I was in jail, I went to this thing called the Christian Block. Good News Jail and Prison Ministry. Mind you guys, this was over 28 years ago. This didn't happen last year. It was over 28 years ago when I went through my dark hole. And this gentleman would come into the cell block and preach the word of God. He was a retired two-star admiral in the Navy. And he took me under his wing. And he was my mentor. I grew up in a single parent family home. So Mr. King was like my white daddy. He took me under his wing. He showed me how to be a man. He showed me how to get help at the VA for my PTSD, everything that happened to me in the military. Um, and somehow back then I wasn't a really religious Christian type man, but something led me to believe this old man. You know, um, the only thing I saw was, wow, he's a retired two-star admiral. Man, this guy must have the greatest advice ever. Because I was young then. But to this very day, I still stay in touch with Mr. King. When I was homeless and down and out, he helped me. He would give me like Mr. Miyagi type jobs. Here's a old rusted screwdriver, put together this shed type stuff, just to have cash in my pocket. But Mr. King was the advice that I really took to heart, and I still do to this very day. So on that point, yeah, Mr. King was the person I got advice from.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing. Todd, what about you? We'll go to you. What advice were you given that turned out that you look back now and you're like, that probably wasn't the best advice, or it didn't pan out the way you might have thought it would?
I mean, I got some advice. No particular one in particular. Not one in particular, but I got advice from different people to do different things. But what I've always done is to make sure that I surround myself uh, with individuals that have same belief, same morals, same integrity. That circle is very small. So, making sure that you're talking and having relationships with the right people and staying prayed up kind of helps deflect a lot of that. But you're still going to get people on the outside that are not in your circle that are going to give you advice. And when you hear some of it, you kind of cringe. You're not going to be disrespectful and say, man, that's a bunch of crap. You're going to let them finish because most of them mean well. But so I did hear some advice that I did not take that was like, no, I don't think that's a good idea to do that. But what I didn't do is I wouldn't get into a debate with them. I would let them share what they think I should do, the next step I should take. But again, you know, I rely on my wife, because she's my partner. She has my best interests at heart. And the individual in my circle, we've been friends for, 20, 30 years. So I think if you maintain a really good circle, doesn't have to be big, but people that you really know that have your best interests at heart, that will also help you from taking some bad advice.
And you bring up such an important point that the people that are giving the advice, they genuinely mean well.
Right.
It's not coming from a bad place. They're really not trying to steer you wrong or set out to give you bad advice. It's just sometimes the there's an expression I always, the pathway to hell, it can be paved with good intentions.
I
And
agree.
people don't necessarily see it that way. They're just thinking they're paving a path for you that it's good intentions. I'm helping you on the road to righteousness, and in the end it's going to be a rainbow, not realizing that they might
Right.
be trailing you. So such great insights there.
And you
What
know how
about you?
you know what?
Oh, go
Before
ahead.
you
Sorry.
move on, a really good way to manage that is the relationships that you have with your really close friends or close family members, things of that nature. That's great, but always ask yourself, can this person handle my truth? If this person can't handle my truth,
Mm,
I don't share that with them in the first place. You know, yes, you could tell everybody that you're out of work, but can they handle your truth? If you have a reservation about sharing it with Bob, your truth, if you pause and go, let me think about that, and you're thinking, that person probably can't handle your truth. And if they can't handle your truth, you don't have to worry about getting bad advice from them because you're not going to even, you know, talk with them in the first place unless you're like in a group or somebody else knows or just found out, hey, I just found out, that you're not working. That's different. But if they can't handle your truth, they don't pass the smell test on handling your truth, keep it moving. You don't have time to deal with the nonsense. You're on a mission to get employed.
Right. Everything's not for everybody.
Right.
how about you, Jasmine? What looking back now after some reflection, what kind of advice would you look back and be like, that didn't work out so well?
Yeah, I would say, like personally, I'm a recruiter, so I'm very aware of how predatory that space is. As like, being a headhunter, resume writer, career coach, especially, that was a huge uptick, and it still is a growing field given like the unemployment rate. But I would say some advice I didn't really understand why I was given this was to give up. And they said my family and friends would just say, hey, now maybe you need to just have kids now, just be a stay-at-home mom. And I'm like, you've known me for many years. Like, when would I ever give up, right? When would I ever stop learning and doing more and pursuing more of like what I want in my field and grow in my field? Um, so that was one advice that I was just surprised to hear from family and friends during like this period in my life. And then just taking that into consideration, that what Todd was saying, it's like maybe they're not ready to kind of just be around this. So weekends when I was gone, just studying or doing more, I was away. I wouldn't attend like certain events because I didn't have time for that. I needed to get employed. I couldn't spend money on going out and parties. So that was eye-opening. It let me know like the people around me and kind of they may have good intentions, like what you were saying, John. It's great to start a family, but you need to have a steady foundation for that. So that yeah, that just taught me a lot about what's going on right now in my situation and those conversations, because I'm sure pretty sure maybe a large amount of you here are unemployed going into those family reunions. Like, how's the job search going? Like, those questions can be taken in other ways depending on how your mindset is at the time. Is it going well? Did you just come back from having an interview? Did you just get like 3 rejection letters that morning? And then someone comes and asks you, how's the job search going? You don't really want to answer that, right? So my mind definitely okay. I'm always pretty neutral. I always like to remain in a state of gratitude because that's a very neutral state, just for me. And you kind of got out of that a little bit. So that was it was an interesting time and perspective. But I would say, as what Todd was saying, just follow your truth, like whatever your own walk. So stick to that, and the intentions are not, what you're looking for, and you know what your goals are.
Right. Now, I definitely like sometimes when you're in that season and that it's not necessary, everything's not going as planned. When people start asking those questions like, "Hey, how's it going?" Hey, that definitely could just make you even feel even worse because it's like, are you probing? Do you really care, or you just want? Are you being nosy? Is this authentic, or is it one of those things where it's like you just want to hear like it ain't working? Because if I didn't tell you, I'm not speaking positive of, hey, I just had a job interview, it went great, or hey, I got a couple calls from last week. I'm just here to enjoy the cookout, enjoy the hang out this little moment. Now you told me the job thing. So now I definitely understand that. Like that's always a tricky place. So that's like it's like one of those things. Like, and that's another reason why some people just like shut themselves out. Like I don't want to be in social environments or around a lot of people because I don't want the questions. I don't want the probing. Even if you might mean well, but like you asking questions, but you have no resource or no a lane for me to get in. So these questions just like probing, trying to like I don't know when to say get in my business or certain things. But like I said, like we already kind of discussed, like everything is not for everybody, and everybody got to know what's going on with you, especially if they don't have no angle to help you, right? Because there's no point of gossiping or speaking on the things you're going through to just people just to say it. You know what I mean? But um, Todd, I got a question for you. So you start your new role on Monday.
Correct.
So what's going through your mind right now? Like knowing how hard you had to fight to get to this role and how all the things you've been through. Like what is your thought process right now?
Well, it's interesting you'd ask me that question, Dominic. Since I've been unemployed, I've become very good with AI. I'm like extremely good with AI. And on this call, I'll share uh, where I'm going to be working, but I have to be careful about that because some people are opportunists. And if they know where you're working, what you're doing, you'll start getting LinkedIn requests. You'll get weird LinkedIn requests. And I've learned to deal with that having worked in the intelligence community. So for those of you on this call, I'll be working with DARPA. DARPA is the defense. Sometime I have to remember the acronym, Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. So DARPA is the organization that actually was like the father of the internet. They're the ones that actually help develop the coating that goes on fighter jets and the stealth bombers so they're not detectable by radar. So what they do is they create things now for the future. So the future is now. It's a really interesting organization. So having gotten really good with AI, what I did is I took some time to, even after I got the job, I took some time to do some really deep research to learn more about the organization, its mission, uh, how purchases are made, because I'll be managing a contract portfolio. So I really need to know what type of contract vehicles they use to make their purchases, what drives their buying decision, how do they do market research. So I dumped all of that into AI and developed a system so that I can hit the ground running from day one to understand how they make their purchases, how they approach industry. And I just want to make sure that I come in, ready to contribute right away. This is like no other federal agency. They're totally different. And the reason that this organization came to be is because when the Russians uh, deployed the Sputnik satellite a long time ago, it caught the U.S. off guard. And the U.S. vowed never to be caught off guard like that again and unprepared. And that's why this agency was stood up. So, it's an honor to work with an agency that does this type of work. But you gotta really be on your P's and Q's because you got a lot of bright minds. You're working with a lot of scientists. You're working with a lot of smart people. So you have to really come in respecting those individuals that are already in those roles so that you can put your best foot forward and make a difference in that new role. And I will say this, I'm not a govy with them. I'm a contractor. But I'll say this, when I talk about passing the test earlier, I knew I had passed the test, obviously, because uh, the Lord gave me this job. But I'll say this, and you probably won't hear a lot of people say this. When
What are you
offer
doing?
was, when the offer was made, they gave me more than what I asked for. That doesn't happen a lot. So when someone gives you more than what you asked for, and I knew where I wanted to be, I did my research on the starting salary and all that background investigation to come up with what that number should be. I gave them the number and I got more than what I asked for. So, for those of you that, again, have that relationship, the Lord will show out. Yeah, not only will He give you a job, but sometimes He'll surprise you with some other things as well. And then on top of that, I work from home 3 days a week and I go in the office too. That wasn't in the job announcement. So that was another treat. Obviously, more employers are starting to do that now because, the inboxes just get full of resumes because everybody wants to work from home. So, just go in when you get those offers, go in, prepare. Even after an interview, learn as much as you can about the organization you're going to work for, about the culture, what they do to have fun, if they get together and have team building events, things like that, because you really want to get in there and let them know, hey, I'm not just here to work. I'm here to make a difference. And I'm also here to, make some really good professional friendships that can really help working here really well and help, with advancement opportunities within the organization.
Nah, you spot on with everything you say. I have nothing to add, but like I like the fact that like you're not just excited for the moment. Like you're not waiting. Just I'm happy just to be there. Like I'm already working. I'm already doing things. I got a couple hours. I'm already giving 5 to 7 hours, maybe 10 hours a week, getting ready to start day one and launch day one and own day one. I want
Mhm.
to dominate day one. I want to dominate week one. I want them to show them you hired me for a reason. I'm gonna show you why you hired me. I'm
Right.
not waiting on anything. I'm already putting things in place so I could be day one actionable, day one effective, day one moving in the right direction and push the needle towards and executing. So
And
that's
I will say this: when it comes to AI, I know you're hearing me talk AI, AI, AI. But if you take the time to really learn to use AI more than just using it as a Google on steroids, it can really help you with your research. You can set up very sophisticated job searches that you can't do with Indeed, within LinkedIn. I mean, you can get really sophisticated on what you want AI to do for you to help you find a job. You can conduct deep research. It's one thing for AI, you go in and you do your research, but you put a phrase in called conduct deep research. So now, when you do that, AI is going to take more time to think about what it is that you're asking it to do, and it will go deeper into what it is that you're trying to do. And then if you use, and I'll just throw this out and then I'll shut up. If you use the term called truth mode, put the word in truth mode first. Truth mode, period, and then ask the question. Now, it's not going to stroke your ego. It might hurt your feelings, but it's going to do that because you want the truth told. You don't want your ego to be stroked. That way, you know, you're getting really good, honest advice. So for those of you on this call, learn to use AI. It's free. They got free AI courses. If you don't use it any other time but to find a job, at least use AI to help you find a job. And if you don't know how to use AI that well, find somebody that knows how to use it to help you get a job. Back to you, Bill.
I definitely get it. So Jasmine, now that you are in the recruiting space and you was unemployed for that 13 months and all the things, do you feel like male spouses can lead to their male spouse? Do you feel like it's still like I gotta hide that from my recruiter, or I gotta hide that from job announcements, or I need to kind of like not tell people in the interview that I'm a male spouse? Or is any stigma attached to like getting jobs with male spouses?
Yeah, for the longest time, I would hide that part of me that I was a military spouse because they were it was advised against stating that because often you're unreliable, right? You're gonna move frequently. We're not gonna put these resources and efforts into you because why? When you're just taking it up, you're a red flag. So I never led with that in interviews. I just spoke about my experience, my education, what I've done. And I usually come from like the startup environment. So what I've built and what I kind of the network that I built on LinkedIn and my connections. So, but coming into USAA, I realized it's completely different. Like it's celebrated. They want you to tell your story, what you've been through. They appreciate what what you've done, and they appreciate your family. And every member at you, everyone affiliated with USAA is military veteran or dependent. So it's a whole different atmosphere. And we're all going to San Antonio next month. So I'll meet more of the team in person and really like get more of that energy and that feeling from campus. So I'm excited to to not only like I see what they do, but they actually like follow through and they have this big initiative of having at least 30% of their workforce being military affiliated. So and they're sticking true to that. We actually have a new rollout program for military spouses for the trailing spouse program. So if you are an active military spouse, you can actually work remote and your job will follow you. So I love how they're actually leading with that because there's all these programs and they want to help and they want to do something, but no one actually follows through. So it's excited to work for a company that actually is making changes to work with this environment. So yeah, I would say I'm no longer hiding it, but I have in the past.
Nah, I mean, I agree with you. Like sometimes there's a stigma with military spouses. Like, hey, that first 6 to 9 months is basically like the training and get everything together. And then all of a sudden, hey, that spouse could leave within the next year or the following year. It's like, so it's kind of like, do we really want them for only 2.5, maybe 3 years? Like, and then the deployment comes, so maybe the spouse may have to take a little bit of time off because, take care of the household. So it could be one of those things. So I understand why sometimes spouses don't necessarily lead with a military spouse unless it's a really organization, like a great organization like USA. Is like, hey, tell us as your spouse. We'll try to keep that job for you. We'll roll you to something else that's remote, or we'll follow you to your next job, your duty station. We'll work with you because like that is a viable thing sometimes. So I definitely get that. Um,
Yeah, and it makes no sense, the stigma behind it, because average tenure for any employee, like military or not, is 2 to 3 years. No one stays at their current job like 20, 30 years, as they did before. And fun fact, average tenure at USAA is 20 years. So they do know how to treat their employees very well. But But yeah, the stigma needs to end. That's not the reality anymore. Employees will job hop. They will seek other employment depending on how they're treated.
Absolutely. Like, so you look at statistics, they say 80% of people who transition from the military, 65 to 80% by year two, they done had maybe two to three different jobs. So that first job you get out, normally 9 times out of 10, you don't keep it. By that second year, you didn't pivoted maybe two to three different times to different job fields. Like some of the people I've kind of talked to, like the panel we had last week, we had three ladies that got out the military. All three of them had pivoted 3 times before they landed the job they have now. So it's always a pivot. So, like you said, I don't know the stigma attached to the military spouse, especially when a lot of times people come in. It's a lot of times agencies, especially like these mid-level, entry-level positions, are bridge positions. It bridges you just like so I can work, and it bridges you to the next position. Because like you come in, you might take a lesser role just to have a job because you have your master's degree, you have your bachelor's degree, but it's like, hey, I'm not, you kind of can tell you're not gonna be here forever, but I need something to bridge to the other side of it. So that's definitely a thing. I definitely understand that, but one day we'll figure it out. One day. But Ernest, you kind of talked about it a little bit, but I just want to hear like more of like a direct question. Since you had some of those homelessness, all the things, like what drives you, what makes you different because I already know what makes you different, but what makes you kind of like what do you bring into the Eggleston side as far as like working with the veterans and the shelters and all the things since you've been through that experience?
A lot of what I see in the people that I talk to, I see a lot of me in them. I see a lot of people out there on the streets and people in the homeless shelters. I see me where I used to be. And it gave me kind of like a deep empathy when I talk to veterans, and I could see the hidden stress that they hold inside. I was trained at some behavioral clinic we went to for training on crisis, mental crisis. And a lot of veterans that are out there like to stay hidden. They don't want to come out and get help. They like to stay hidden, you know. And it just gave me like empathy. Whenever I go into the workforce council, John, where you're at, I make every effort to talk to veterans one on one, give them at least an hour or so, minding my schedule I have, just to get to know, what's going on. Everybody needs a job, everybody needs a career. I get it. But what's going on? Do you have some, sincere, deep issues that you haven't resolved yet? Mental issues. Do you need to resolve that first? Um, so it gives me like a guidance, a step by step on how to reach out to veterans, to individuals. Um, it's more of a human empathy instead of what us three, Todd and Jasmine, went through, the ghost era, where you just didn't hear from nobody. So I think, working at Eggleston, I empathize deeply with what's going on with our veterans in the community.
No, I mean, it's nothing like having somebody who's actually been through that, right? And can really empathize and knows what it looks like to be on the other side of that fence, on the other side of like struggle, the other side of really like hitting rock bottom. So like it's even though you pivot into a whole different thing, a realm from finance, like I think God put you exactly where you need to be at the right time and at the right job because like it's nobody really can. Everybody has the titles, but it's like you actually got to be where they were and you can speak to it and also have you can get that testimony like it's you if there's a way if you keep going. There's the other side of this homelessness, there's the other side of struggle, there's the other side of just getting to the other side. Like it's a journey. It's just only one chapter in your life. Like I try to tell people, you gotta take your highs with your lows the same way because you can't you're never gonna be high for that long and you're never gonna be low that long. It's up to you how you see it, right? So it's always about pivoting in chapters. This is one chapter of your life. It doesn't have to be your whole chapter or your ending chapter. It doesn't. So I'm thankful that you had that position. I definitely understand that whole like the way it resolves with you in a way like you really are like you've been through it and you live it and you're also giving back to the community.
And just to piggyback on that, Dominic, another great journey that I'm on is the city mayor of Norfolk and the city mayor of Portsmouth have giving me a position on their board of committees to be on the Veterans Homeland Action Committee for both the city of Portsmouth and Norfolk. So, sitting with these, I guess, higher echelons, politicians, mayor, vice mayor, city manager, they want to know what's going on with veterans, and I'm so honored to, just tell them in, raw, simple form, hey, listen, they're struggling and it sucks out there, the heat and no food, and they want to hear this. So being able to have that connection with, the politician side of our world, I guess, the mayors and vice mayors, um, it's a good thing for me because I can actually tell them, listen, I'm talking to you from experience, not for somebody who, has all these accolades. I'm talking to you from experience, so I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
You guys have rocked it, and I know we're actually a little bit over time, so really appreciate you guys hanging on, and for the guys that are dialed in with us, thanks for hanging on for a little while longer. And so I'm going to wrap it up with one more question for you guys, and we'll keep it brief, 2 to 3 sentences. So and I'll come to you first, Jasmine. In 2 to 3 sentences, you run into someone that's been in the unemployment job search for about 6 months. They're losing hope. They're ready to give up. If you had to give them a quick sound bite to keep them going or provide advice, what would you give to them?
And I would say definitely lean into that support system. And if you currently don't have it, you can still build it. You can make it your own and surround yourself with that energy, with that positivity, with people with the same goals and mindset that you have. And it'll all come together. It'll all come full circle. But don't give up. There's so many resources. There's so many things available to you to just reach out, take the time, 5, 10, 20 minutes, look out to see how you can get better. What else is out there to make you better and to make you just feel better. So, but it's all internal, it's all within. So keep that mindset and you'll see. It'll all come together.
Love it. Love it. What about you, Todd?
Well, I say, first of all, put your pride in your back pocket. I'm going to ask a series of questions. You're still looking, you're up against the wall. Have you driven for Uber? Have you driven for Lyft? Hey, believe it or not, I'm not telling you something just to say it because I've done it. I've been Fred Sanford. I picked up metal. I picked up cable, and I've done all that. Ask them, what are your thoughts about working at McDonald's? That is when you're really going to find out who this person is and how much they really want to get a job. Now, of course, they want to get the job that they want. But depending on how that person answer you, if you ask, hey, what about work for McDonald's or Wendy's or Taco Bell? What are your thoughts on that? Look at how they respond back to you. And if they turn their nose up and go, man, are you crazy? Then you have to bring them back front and center. Hey, you don't have to work there forever. But when you pay your bills, Dominion Power, Washington Gas, they don't know where the money comes from. All they know is that they got your money and they're going to keep you connected with lights, with gas, with AC, and finally, let me tell you this. For those of you that go to church, again, put your pride in your back pocket. If things are getting tight and you don't have the funds, let the church know, I need some help. If you're there and you tithe, that's what you tithe for. So when it's your turn to get assistance from the church, ask them for help. Ask for help. Don't be prideful. Put the pride in your back pocket. Ask for help so that you can keep going. Now, when it comes to family and friends, put your pride in your back pocket. Hey, I still have funds, but my funds are starting to dry up. Hey, can I come over for dinner? When the government was shut down for, 44 days, I told individuals, hey, if you want to come and have dinner with us, come and have dinner with us. You want to come have lunch with us, come have lunch with us, because I know that's one less $10 or $15 or $20 that you're going to have to pay. I don't have a problem with that. Come on over. People were so grateful that I offered to do that. No judgment here. Put your pride in your back pocket. Do what you got to do until you get where you want to be.
Oh my God, such great insights there. And real quick before I come to you, Ernest. So I just want to. Last night, I was at Margaritaville on City Walk down here in Orlando, having dinner with my daughter and my aunt, and our waitress. And this goes to the point about Lyft and Uber. Our waitress is talking, and my aunt starts talking to her. Hispanic family. They ask a lot of questions, and so the waitress reveals she took the job because she was waiting for this property to be established, and so she can get into the HR space of the property management company that was going to run this new property that they're building, some golf course property out here. They're always building golf courses in Orlando. Well, lo and behold, my aunt is the HR director for that organizations that's building that property. And so she's got her thumb on all of that. So now, just because Becky, that's the waitress name, happened to be a little vulnerable and share like, yeah, I needed a job, I needed income, I took this waitressing job just to bring money in while I pursued this HR space that I want to be in. Now she's at a seated conversation with us and was able to exchange phone numbers, and so my aunt's gonna bring her in and talk to her about employment. So you just never know what door, sometimes you just got to walk through all of them because you don't know who's going to be on the other side.
Right.
So amazing insights. Ernest, what about you? You run into someone, they're giving up. What advice you have for them?
I'm going to read a little clip that I usually say in my suicide awareness classes and my financial management classes. And this is for veterans. You should start looking at your finances a month into your job search and budget, budget, budget. In the meantime, there is absolutely nothing wrong with flipping a burger, stacking groceries, or mowing lawns to stay afloat. I personally myself have mowed lawns within my own company. Keep going and give yourself grace, please, because your current season of searching doesn't define your worth or erase the incredible value you have to offer. Remember, it's just a season.
Good point. Yeah.
This too shall pass. What that Tom Hanks, having a good day, this too shall pass.
Right.
Having a bad day, this too shall pass. It's all a life of seasons. So I'll be the first to say thank you guys so much. Oh man, so much to take away. I got a 7 hour or so drive ahead of me, but my cup is filled. I'm ready to roll. I know these people in this gas. I'm in some random town in Georgia right now, sitting at a gas station. They keep peeking their head out at me. I think they're probably thinking I'm casing this joint. But wow, you guys delivered. What an amazing group of panelists and guests that we had today. Thank you guys so much. So much. Dominic, what you got?
So I definitely want to thank Jasmine, Todd, Ernest. I thank y'all for coming out, speaking to vulnerability, speaking to like a season that most people don't ever want to talk about, ever want to mention, don't even want to bring it up again, right? They want to forget about it. So you guys wasn't there a year ago, wasn't there 6 months ago. All y'all are just there 60 days ago. 60 days ago, you was trying to figure out the application, figure out the job, figure out all the things. So I definitely appreciate you. You didn't let your struggle die in the struggle. You letting this be a testimony, and you continue to move forward and giving it to other people, and willing to speak on a podcast about the journey, about the process, and about, hey, what kept me going when sometimes I felt like not going. And then Todd, bro, I try to, I'm so stoic. I don't shed no tears. I'm so stoic. Like you really, I almost broke down. I had to get myself together because I really miss my mom. And the fact you brought that in, because you don't have to bring that in at all. But like, I get teary-eyed every time. That's a very sensitive topic for me. And I try to like really, I know I avoid it. I go to counseling for all the things, but it's like one of those things where like I really relate because nobody, you have a great mom and she's really in your life. It's like really hard to let that go. But it's like you have to let it go and you got to take the life lessons and the journeys, all the things, right? So with that being said, we're over on time, but I appreciate everybody who hung in there. I appreciate the conversation. If y'all could drop y'all LinkedIn's in the chat. I know y'all did it early, but let's drop it in the chat for those who just want to have those private conversations privately or just want to say thank you. You know what I'm saying? To you privately for telling your story, telling the journey. So if you could drop your LinkedIn profiles in the chat. And please, if you're on this call right now and something resonated with you and something felt good and you just want to say, tell them thank you via their LinkedIn. If you want to connect, you got a more personal question and you really want to know, like, how'd you get that government job? Hey, I know I'm a male spouse too. Like, can you give me some advice on what you did? Hey, I really want to get into, like, maybe you're a person that want to do some volunteer, want to help out Ernest in the journey and doing something, drop it in the chat. Just drop it in the chat. They got their profiles in there. Please connect with them. We'll be back again next week, next Saturday. I appreciate everybody's time, especially since we went over like 15 minutes. And thank you again. And then we'll wrap up right here. All right.
I'm posting the YouTube channel in the chat as well. So once we get the video and whatnot, if you guys want to see the replay, and we'll go from there. If anyone wants to stick around, if anyone has any questions, Dominic, I don't know if you're good, we can hang out for a little bit. But our guests, our panelists, we want to let them have their Saturday back. So.
Okay. All right, so we end right here unless somebody just wants to talk about something, like just want to, say something. If there's no questions, no hand raised, then I'll go ahead in the chat and then we move on from it. And I'll see y'all next Saturday if y'all want to come, if y'all come back.
Hey,
I'll
Dominic,
get
if
back
you
on
can post that QR code on the chat.
Oh, okay. I wish you'd have said that earlier. Too easy. You sent it to my LinkedIn. I mean, you sent it to my state email. So I'll
Yes.
put it on. I'll make a post about it for you. No worries.
Thank you, Dominic.
No worries. No worries.
Thank you guys for everything.
Thank you guys so much.
I really appreciate the brutal honesty. Like that's refreshing to have somebody be vulnerable and honest is refreshing, because so many of us are going through the same things, and it's almost like we're expected to fake, like these real things aren't going on, and that we got to stroll into an interview, if we can even get one. Like everything is great, so that we don't show any cracks in the armor, so to speak. So I appreciate everybody's honesty, the advice, and just you guys took time out of your day to pour into other people, share your stories in a vulnerable way, let people know how your faith incorporated success into your walk and into your personal growth through the process. And I'll stop there, but I greatly appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you for joining.
Thank you for the
Appreciate you
job.
taking the time out to come watch.
Hey, I'm just going to weigh in. Incredible guys, just really, really terrific. You cannot fake this stuff. There's not a single thing I would disagree with. I'm here to help anybody in any way. And Josh, I was really impressed with what you said, but the fact that you're a Braves fan, I'm not so sure we're going to hit it off very well. But anyways, have a great Saturday, guys. Hey, John, I'll talk to you. Dominic, good seeing you, buddy.
Absolutely. We got to connect too, Chip.
Okay, see you guys. Bye.
All right.
Yeah, I'll see you when I get back in town.
Okay, pal. Safe drive.
Thanks. All right. Cool. I'm hopping off. Dominic, I'll chat with you, brother. Everybody else, you all have a great one. We're going to hit this highway again.
All right. Y'all have a great evening. See y'all next week for those who come back next week. And I hope everybody got something from it.